Welcome back to the Blends podcast. I'm your host, Mike Ruff. You may have already heard about a very special panel that's been put together for this year's The Blends, taking place in Birmingham on Saturday the 18th of October. Family garages, as we all know, are the backbone of the automotive aftermarket across the UK and Ireland, but what actually happens behind closed doors rarely gets talked about. We're talking about parenting, boundaries, disagreements and the strains put on businesses and, more importantly perhaps, family relationships. It's a big topic, so we've got in some big names to talk about it. Tina Drayson has assembled an incredible lineup consisting of Kirsty Watson, Cleevely, Samantha Lomas and Diana Whetton, all of whom are joining me on the podcast today. Welcome to the Blends podcast, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Mike.
Thank you.
Now, first things first, you're all with me here on the podcast, so I've got to ask, who's keeping an eye on the lads while you're all gone?
I think
they're fine.
them.
You're hosting this incredible lineup. Originally, you had a very specific idea in mind, husband-wife dynamics. But I gather it's evolved into something more broader than that. So perhaps you can tell us a little bit about the shift and what you're hoping people will take away from your session.
My ulterior motive, if you like, behind it was actually to give more women a voice. I think there's a lot of business out there where we focus very much on the technician side and the men that are doing that hands-on role. And we all know that every business cannot thrive without what goes on in the background. And for me, it was about giving the women a voice, a place to be heard. And also, it's uncomfortable doing a presentation of any kind if you've not done one before. And doing a panel discussion is a comfortable way of being uncomfortable, if that makes sense. So my idea behind it was to get these women involved, one, to give them a present, to give them a voice, and to give them a platform to start with the idea that maybe next year they'll be doing a presentation of their own. But we have had many conversations about this and the topics we're going to talk about, and it has totally evolved because, honestly, these women have got some amazing, incredible stories to tell. So it's gone away from being just the women to being the parents, the business owners, and, like you say, all the challenges that come with that. And the dynamics with running a family business are so different to any other that there will be many, many people in the audiences that will be in very, very similar situations that will be able to take many, many tips away from this discussion.
Very exciting then. Now, ahead of that panel, it would be interesting to learn about how you all ended up in the business. Claire, let's start with you, please. And while you're at it, tell us a bit about your role in the business.
Yeah, very much a situation of fall into it. We've got twins ourselves. We were running alongside the business quite happily, and unfortunately at the time the receptionist developed cancer. I ended up stepping into the breach and filling, as in a family business you do, filling the shoes of Matt's auntie, who'd been doing the job prior to that, but unfortunately due to her health that took priority, and that was my first step into the business. That was over 20 years ago now, and yeah, still here. 3 businesses later, motors, EV and mobile. We're still working together, and yeah, we've not killed each other yet, so we're good.
Well, you've won plenty of awards along the way, so it's working.
Oh, that's my passion, unfortunately. Matt doesn't have a say in that. That's me. Yeah, we have been very lucky to be recognised for the work we do within the trade. But we are very passionate about the trade. It's supported 3 generations of our family, and hopefully we'll go on to continue to do more.
Absolutely. Samantha, how did you get into Garage Life?
Pretty much got dragged in. No, so when Dean started, he was mobile. So he started, there was just him in a van, and I still had a full-time job. So in the evenings, weekends, I'd just do the books, the bookkeeping. And then as it evolved over time, that we were just so busy, we needed a unit, and then it was my job. We were building a house and had a new baby at the time, so it was all madness. So we started out just me doing and somebody else in the garage, and my role has evolved over time from front of house to everything back of house. Yeah, it's been a journey. I couldn't say it wasn't really my passion when I first got into it. It was just helping me get the job. But over the years and being more involved in the industry, I've become to love it just as much as he does.
Great to hear that Dean's passion has really rubbed off on you. Kirsty, how did you find yourself in the garage?
So my husband worked in the business pretty much from school, did his apprenticeship sort of in the automotive industry. When his boss came to retire, he kind of gave us first option to buy. So at that young, naive 20 years old, 21 years old, we decided, yeah, let's buy a business together. So that's what we did. It's been a huge journey. It's almost 20 years ago now. So just literally started as similar to Sam, bookkeeping, accounts on a Saturday in the evenings, quickly evolved to more and more and more. As the business grew, as we started a family, I left my career and went into the garage full time. So literally, there's nothing apart from actually being a technician that I haven't done. There's been resentments at time. I did give up my career doing something different. And for a long time, I felt that. But on reflection over the past few years, especially, it's given us so many opportunities, the flexibility in work, in our family life, with being a mum. Just wouldn't change it because I've just met such incredible people on the journey that actually it's kind of my happy place now.
Oh, that's amazing to hear you describe it as your happy place. Now, I know it's not an easy journey to get to that point, as I'm sure we'll hear at the blend. Diana, what was your entry into the industry?
So it was completely by accident. I ended up getting pregnant with the twins and I just couldn't leave really. So I was kind of trapped at first, having to make ends meet. Paul had started a business that turned into a bit of a beast and he needed help. And then when we got pregnant with the twins, I was quite ill for a long time after. So I couldn't go out and get another job. And he really needed someone. So I stepped in. So at first I actually used to come to work in steel toe cap boots, sweep the floors, make the teas, do the bits of paperwork, and over time evolved so that I needed more help. I started learning more about the industry and quickly learned that we didn't need to follow the traditional sort of, not backstreet garage, but we didn't know better until we met other people basically and realised that actually we could raise the standards. So I really got involved in wanting to up the standard of the business, and I just go down rabbit holes. So I'll go, oh, that looks good. Oh, how can we do this? So I just got into it really.
So what job did you do before the twins and your role at the garage?
Yeah, I'd just come out of spending 10 years organising antiques fairs up and down the country. So I had a very different job going to, Alexandra Palace and Newbury and Ardingly and just travelling all the time. And I loved my job there. But yeah, I also had a bit of a background doing accounts and things before that. So I'd thought about going back into to do accountancy, but I don't really like accountancy, to be honest with you. I don't know why I ever did that.
Yes, not for everyone, accountancy. No doubt it's coming useful for the garage, though. Tina, how did you get started at CCM?
So I've been part of CCM now for 26 years. Came on board when my kids were small, just doing a bit of bookkeeping and finance for Stuart and Barry, who are my cohorts in crime. It's just evolved from there, really, and a bit like everyone else, just taken on more and more and more. The guys made me a shareholder a few years ago. I think probably because they didn't want me to wander off and go somewhere else. But yeah, I kind of do the operation side of stuff. It's challenging, but a bit like the other ladies have said, I'm very passionate about it. I absolutely love what I do. There's not many people that get up in the morning and actually look forward to going to work. I'm still at my age. I still have that passion. I still get up. So yeah, I'm going to keep going all the time I can.
That's amazing to hear. Really shines through when someone loves what they do. What about before CCM though? What's your background, Tina?
So my background is finance. I've always worked in accountancy. I've been an accountant for a brick manufacturer before I came into the garage industry. So I fell pregnant with my first child and went on maternity, and then ended up staying off work after having 4 children, and then went back to work in the finance world again, but within automotive, and I've not looked back.
Well, so we got 2 backgrounds in accountancy here then. Kirsty, what about you?
Project management, which has been great because it's allowed the processes to sort of map over. So it has had lots of transferable skills. So that's the bonus, I suppose.
Transferable skills seem to be a common theme here. Claire, any transferable skills from a past career?
I managed a children's day nursery, so working with children.
Yeah, now that definitely sounds like it's been a useful skill for you. We'll leave that one for another day, maybe. Now, I wanted to put some quick-fire questions out to each of you, starting with the biggest myth about being a woman in the garage industry.
That we don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, the expectation that or the thought from people that you lack the knowledge.
That we're just doing the paperwork in the background and we don't know a lot about it.
There is still some suppliers, some customers that are still quite dismissive.
I think every woman on this podcast and so many women out there have been underestimated so many times. But I think in this industry, I've met so many amazing women, so many people that bring so much to the table, so knowledgeable and so willing to share sort of their journey and their support. And just put it out there as well, just so many amazing men as well who've actually pushed a lot of us forward. And challenges us as women to step forward into the industry and just share our journey and where we are, sort of to give our voice a wider noise out there in the community.
And Tina, what are your thoughts on this one?
I think as women, we have to try twice as hard to put ourselves out there. One, because we are not the technician, we do everything else, and we've always got this battle of having to prove our worth. And we do know imposter syndrome is a big thing. I've suffered with it myself, not for a while, but I have, and I'm sure every woman out there would say the same. I would say to you, you have earned your place to be where you are, and do not shrink yourself to plead someone else's ego. Put yourself forward, believe in yourself, and you can do whatever you set your mind to do.
I had a conversation with Tina about this last year. Very much feel that I'm in the shadow of Matt, and I will now say what we have created rather than at the time said to Tina what she has created or what he's created. But that has come fully from meeting other people. So like Tina, Kirsty, Diana, Sam, that have given me the confidence to turn around and say, yes, I am part of it. It has been down to us. And if it hadn't been us working together as husband and wife and putting other things on the back burner to make it happen, we wouldn't be where we are now. And the support of Garage Hive and the different events that we've attended has bolstered that, because it's meeting inspirational people that boost that confidence within you.
I think it's really important to talk about identity. I think one of the biggest struggles that women especially feel, I feel like men become parents and will generally go to do their work job 8 till 6, where in a lot of cases women are the ones that become adaptable to their work, to motherhood. And I think in a lot of that, I know so many women that lose their identity in that process. It's really common to lose yourself in motherhood, lose yourself in wanting the career, or wanting both and trying to have both, but dealing with the challenges that bring. You think you can forget to kind of love yourself. You get lost in work, you get lost in those school runs. And it's been a challenge for me, and I know so many other women, to reclaim who you are. and to be okay with the fact that I actually want to be a mum, but I also want a career as well. And I don't have to sacrifice either. They can come hand in hand, and it's not selfish to want either or both of those. And what's right for you at different points. You don't have to compare yourself to others out there. Just live what you need to live, and that's really important to just think about your identity on your journey in motherhood and business.
I think it's very difficult to do it all. And it's not easy for one person to do it, but it does tend to fall onto one person, and it does always tend to be the mum. But obviously, you've just got to have good communication, and you've got to be, kind to each other and realise if things need doing, they've just got to be done. And yeah, men really help a bit more.
Yeah, there's so much truth in what you've all said there. And just to unpack a little more of what you've covered, Kirsty, that struggle to balance motherhood with a sense of self-ambition will, I'm sure, ring true for every other mother listening to this podcast. And as a man, I can say that women do tend to carry that heavy load in both business and family life, and managing that school calendar, managing birthdays, and then there's the full-time job at work too. And generally speaking, it seems to be widely accepted as a given. But how do you think family businesses can better share that load?
It's just the communication, that sort of flexibility we've learned on that journey of when it's been low for me. Gav's managed to step in and actually just sharing that pressure, and just thinking about what I need and what he needs and what our family needs, and then what our business needs. I think some days, some weeks, the business gets more of me, and the girls get more of Gav, and then the next week it can flip. We're also very lucky to have a strong network around us. And I think it's just important in that network, in everyone around you, both personally and professionally, just to lean in when you are struggling, lean in, because actually a problem shared is definitely a problem halved. I think there's so much conversation out there around sort of mental health and where people lie with that. I think from personal experience and speaking to other women on the network and in the community, that communication with problems, if you're talking about it, it does become easy, because you gain them alliances, and you find people have been through similar situations, both male and female. But yeah, definitely talk in that network.
I've noticed we seem to keep coming back to that theme of the support network of industry peers, and being able to chat to so many like-minded people who face the same challenges as you is proving to be incredibly powerful.
I think in addition to that, I think all of us are fairly vocal in the sort of the Garage Hive community. But I think it's important to acknowledge that I think each and every one of us has felt like the outsider at some point. I know my first sort of 5, possibly 10 years in the garage, I felt like such an outsider. No one in our local area wanted to communicate. Nobody wanted to collaborate. It was all competition. And it was really hard to go into an industry where I had no knowledge. I was trying to learn it as I went. But then starting to do some of the training courses and doing some of the networking, these amazing people started to crop up who were willing to share and collaborate. But I just know it is so difficult on your first few times of going to a networking event or putting yourself out there. It does have that anxiety and it does have that fear. So I'm just putting it out there to both males and females. If you're thinking of attending the blend or thinking about doing a new networking, or you do feel like the outsider, just find that little bit of strength to put yourself out there, because it will open so many avenues for you to meet so many incredible people. And I'd start off with just potentially DMing a couple of people in the community and starting that little bit of conversation, that if you're looking to attend the blend, that there's so many people that will buddy up and meet you at reception or meet you at the bar to introduce you to the wider community, and your journey will only just begin and it'll only get stronger.
Really great advice, Kirsty. It's incredibly nerve-wracking to talk to others about your business, but the blend really does foster a unique sense of community. So for anyone listening that feels alone in business, alone in those challenges, come along to Birmingham in October?
It was very isolating at first when I came into the industry, and things like when I ran around some of the local garages to ask who they got their lift serviced and certified by and their air compressors sorted with, and no one really wanted to talk, and no one really did any of that anyway. Quite a small town, lot of traditional garages, and then gaining the inspiration from joining a community, going to the blend, building on those relationships, and sort of just taking on that inspiration and making a bit of it your own. You don't have to do everything everyone else is doing. You don't have to copy other people. And sometimes you might think that other people are doing far better than they actually are when you talk to them. Sometimes you think, you put someone on a pedestal and think, oh, they're really smashing it. And actually, as much as they are doing really well, sometimes to find out what had to go into that or the sacrifices they've made, it makes a difference. So being part of a community that can come to the blend really does make a difference. People aren't alone. There are garages out there that you can just message or pick up the phone to, and people will reach out to each other and help. So yeah, it's just about a good community and a strong team, really. Like an extension of your own team is being able to call on skills and advice from other people, I believe.
I can't tell you how many doors were actually closed sort of in my face of in that first initial years, especially in our local community, going to other garages. Do you want to work? What are you doing about this? Could we put our MOT prices, or shall we share ideas? It was literally, you are the competition, go away. And what do you know, you're a female. I think it was hugely different. And I think even my husband at the time, he's like, it's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. And I think for me, it's just well, it's not the way it is. It can't be the way it's not going to be my way. I think being sort of that strong personality to try and search out sort of those other avenues. And when I came full time in the role, it was really important. And I just think in the observations, especially over the past 12 months, at looking at everyone around me and the network that I've kind of created, it is the most successful people aren't competition, they're collaborating. They're pulling everybody in together and collaborating and building the industry stronger. There's so many customers out there, there's so many cars out there that actually the collaboration is going to make our industry stronger moving forward over the next few years. And I think that's so vital that everyone just works together and shares all those ideas to push the strength of the industry.
Knowing that I've got people up and down the country, that's really set me apart from everything. And yes, with the imposter syndrome, definitely feel that, it's my husband's name above the door, literally. It's his initials is the business name, but taking those steps to throw yourself into it and not be so scared, and having the network of people up and down the country definitely makes that a lot easier. So it's just really using that.
And that's exactly what the blend is all about, and why we're all very much looking forward to hearing your panel at the blend in October. You've all touched on the constant demands of running a business and family. So how do you go about managing the stresses that come along with that? Is it even possible to switch off at any point?
I don't think you ever stop thinking about business. I think what we do is we learn coping mechanisms so that it doesn't take over everything we do. I do a lot of reading, huge amount of learning and reading, and I have really learned to take the emotion out of work and look at it very practical when you're regarding, whether it's customers that are getting difficult or technicians or staff members that are causing you problems. It's very easy to get caught up in the emotion of everything. So I think over lots of learning and lots of years of practice, I've been able to not take that stress on board and be able to cope with it and go away and think about things before I react. I definitely don't react immediately. And I think that's just comes with practice. But I don't think we ever stop thinking about work, even when we're at home, even when I'm out running. It's work things that are going through my head. But it is a very good way of analysing it in a practical viewpoint without reacting to a customer or a member of staff or a supplier or something.
Yeah, now that's really good to hear, Tina, because I think for so many people, especially those just starting out in business, there's often this pressure or perception that you have to completely switch off or create that perfect work-life separation. And when that doesn't happen, it can feel like you're doing something wrong. But I guess what you're saying here is actually, well, it's reassuring, isn't it? That it's totally normal not to have that clear-cut separation. It's more about learning how to manage your headspace, how to carry the workload without letting it take over, and finding your own way to process things calmly and constructively. Now, to those of you working with family, I want to ask, what's the best thing about doing business with the people that you love?
The notes I wrote down were the shared adventure and the shared sense of achievement.
Sharing, building something together is really good. And with my son working with me, I think it's kept us close, as he's been with us for a few years now. I think about 3 or 4 years he's worked with us. So I think we're a lot closer because he's working with me.
For us, when people say, how do you do it? How do you live and work and parent and do it all together? I think it's about acknowledging that it's not been easy. It has caused its challenges, but we've done it and we're doing it. And we're getting better at doing it as well. I think just that reflection of what we've achieved together is something really proud of.
You can be genuine and honestly yourself with the people that you love, and I think that it does foster a better connection between yourself and your family members that you work with.
There's something very special about building a life and a business with someone you love, and going by your stories, it's incredibly powerful too. Tina, before we finish up, if there's one thing that you hope people take away from your panel discussion at The Blend, what would that be?
Believe in yourself, work on yourself, be the best version of yourself, and everything else will fall into place.
Thanks so much to Tina, Kirsty, Claire, Samantha and Diana for joining me on the podcast today. I gather you're now off to go and rehearse your panel, so we won't take up any more of your time. Look forward to seeing you all at The Blend.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Bye.
If what you've heard today has struck a chord, don't miss the full panel at The Blend on October the 18th in Birmingham. It's going to be a powerful, honest conversation you won't want to miss. Until then, we've got lots more episodes of The Blend podcast to come, so please do subscribe on your usual podcast player, and we'll be back again very soon with another episode.